Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. XRP is breaking out of a 2400-day downtrend. In my last update, I talked extensively about why this is so important and why this is ultimately going to be fueling our upside into new all-time highs to start this cycle. XRP hasn't made a new all-time high since 2018, and we've been inside of this short-term downtrend for a very long time. Now that there's talk about the coming XRP ETF, Franklin Templeton is now looking like they're going to be adding support for this. I think that we're now moments away before we start that new cycle, and XRP breaking out of this downtrend is the early signal that we've all been waiting for. This is very exciting times for XRP investors, and I have a few charts that I want to share with you guys that I know are going to blow your minds. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you find any value in this video, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, and if you want to see anything that I'm investing in long term, links are in the description to go ahead and sign up on my website. Thank you guys so much, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. To start off this video, we're going to be talking a little bit about some news that's come out, and I want to talk about how this factors into the coming potential of an XRP ETF. We've talked extensively about which altcoins are going to see the ETF approvals. Now that we have Bitcoin, now that we have Ethereum, there's a few that I think are most likely candidates to get that approval, and the two that I think are most likely to get that are going to be XRP and Solana. Those two seem to be the most likely candidates to get that approval, considering the adoption and considering the liquidity that both of these projects actually have. Now, I wanted to go through and read this article before we jump into any analysis. Ripple's XRP surges as hype around the ETF gains momentum. XRP has outperformed the broader market recently. SBI's plans have ignited hope for an XRP ETF. The legal battle with the SEC has yet to be overcome. So we're still waiting for the finalization of that SEC lawsuit, but the word on the street is they're going to get some type of resolution very soon, and I think that that's going to be the ultimate catalyst for why we could potentially see an XRP ETF coming here in the next few months. While the cryptocurrency market reeled from a recent downturn, a phoenix seems to rise from the ashes. XRP, once counted among the fallen, defied gravity with a meteoric ascent. Beyond the price surge, a deeper dive into XRP's metrics reveals a compelling growing adoption and interest narrative. Activity on the XRP ledger has ignited, with new addresses being minted, accelerated, and a total number of active addresses reaching its highest point since March. SBI's XRP ETF push ignites excitement. These indicators show a burgeoning XRP ecosystem attracting a growing user base. The tantalizing prospect of an XRP ETF is adding fuel to the speculative fire. Rumors of imminent approval have sent ripples of excitement through the market. The fervor is intensified by recent announcement from SBI Holdings, a stalwart supporter of XRP, that it plans to collaborate with Franklin Templeton on potentially introducing ETFs in Japan. This strategic move has been widely interpreted as a strong signal of potential support for an XRP ETF. BlackRock cast doubt on the XRP ETF, more or less citing that Solana and XRP ETFs don't have the maturity or the liquidity needed to actually get that approved. But the fact that SBI is now working alongside Franklin Templeton, one of the biggest institutional investment banks inside of the entire world, that is a very bullish sign. And I do think it's only a matter of time where once the domino starts to fall, you're going to see some of these bigger players enter the market. BlackRock does cast the doubt on the XRP ETF, citing market maturity and liquidity. However, when we take the time to actually come over and look at the total market cap, the two ETFs we have approved are Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin sitting at 1.3 trillion in market cap with 26 billion in 24-hour volume. Ethereum is just under 400 billion in market cap with 13.5 billion inside of the 24-hour volume. So realistically, when we're coming down and looking at XRP sitting at 2.6 billion in 24-hour volume and 36.5 billion in market cap, it's not that far off, right? It does have a decent ways to go, but when we're talking about them finally adding support for Ethereum and Bitcoin, they're not that much higher that if we were to see XRP make a rally upwards of $2 and start its breakout, I don't think that it's going to have that much of a difference in liquidity, and we could finally look to get that ETF approved. So that was what I thought was very bullish. It's at least an indication that there are institutions that are involved with XRP, or at the very least getting involved with XRP and working alongside companies that have actually shown support for XRP. So now I wanted to take the time to actually go over the price chart of XRP and map out a little bit about what we're seing today, because this is the first time since 2017 that XRP is currently breaking out of its long-term descending resistance, and this is something that I think is going to be the most bullish signal that if we're going to ever see XRP going into price discovery, starting a new cycle, considering when we're looking at our last cycle, XRP peaked over here at just under $2. It was a lower high versus the peak that we saw in 2018 at the very ending of that bull market of 2017, and now we can see that we've pretty much just been in this downtrend for over 2,400 days approximately. And so as we've gone through this downtrend, XRP has survived an SEC lawsuit. When everybody said it was dead, it only continued to maintain higher highs and higher lows. Even though it's short term at a lower high in the long-term downtrend, we've noticed that over the last while, we've actually been holding and maintaining a very consistent uptrend throughout that entire time. If we're looking at how long we've been uptrending, from where we're at today, we're looking at about 1,600 days that we've been maintaining an uptrend. So that is all happening past the COVID capitulation, past the SEC lawsuit, which took place there, past our bear market that we just experienced, which was arguably one of the more brutal bear markets that we've ever been through, and XRP has maintained higher highs throughout that period. Now, the big thing that we're noticing right here is this is the first time in 2,400 days that XRP is finally breaking out of this downtrending resistance. I've been talking extensively about why I believe that we're getting ready for an absolutely massive move, and XRP is being an early front runner to starting its new cycle. This is going to catch people by surprise considering there's so many haters against XRP. But when we're talking about ETFs, when we're talking about true institutional demand, there's very few altcoins on the market that are going to have more adoption and more of a connection with banks, governments, and these institutions than what XRP does. XRP was created specifically to be able to be cross-border payments used with institutions, used with these different real-world companies, trading of oil, trading of any type of commodities in a quick and easy to do way. That was always the purpose of XRP, and Ripple has only come out and added more adoption, gained more partnerships, even in the wake of their massive lawsuit with the SEC. So now when we're talking about the finalization, resolution with this lawsuit, them finally making amends, getting outside of that, I really believe that we're starting to see the early signal that we are moments away from a major breakout. Now keep in mind, guys, I'm on a weekly time frame. We still have about 4.5 days left until we close, so a lot can change. One of the big things I wanted to map out here is there are set to be $1.5 billion worth of XRP tokens unlocked, and we're going to be seeing that happen this time in August. So in a month, we're going to have another big unlock. We know that Ripple oftentimes does these unlocks and then market sells, and that's a way that they can actually add liquidity and add more money into their infrastructure. So this is something that we have to pay attention to as we're getting closer towards this breakout point. If we were to see those unlocks act negatively, we could see this for the short term pull back down. We're going to have to see exactly how this weekly closes, but at the very least, this is a very bullish sign. This is the first time in such a long time, 2,400 days approximately, that XRP is finally breaking out. And I'm not going to be surprised that if once we get confirmation of a breakout, assuming we can actually hold this, if we got a pretty quick impulse, upwards of about $1.43, and I'm not going to be surprised if we rally all the way up to the range highs that we made in the last cycle, being just under $2. XRP generally is going to move very quick, and one of the things that it hasn't done has been so much as a counter indicator, versus in prior cycles, we oftentimes saw XRP outperform when other markets weren't performing as well. And so it was almost kind of a counter trade that you could take inside of the market before the rest of the market started to break out. We're seeing XRP kind of leading the whole market right now, and a lot of this is coming on news that there could potentially be a resolution of the lawsuit coming. There is talks about this ETF coming, and there's very few cryptos that are positioned quite as well as what we see with XRP. So now that we're finally outside of this resistance, we're going to see how the weekly closes, but I got a lot of confidence that we are just moments away before getting that confirmation and getting that next big push into price discovery. Now coming over here, I wanted to take the time to map out a chart, and this is going to be the M1 money supply. We've talked extensively about this chart because I think it's super important that we understand what the M1 money supply actually is. M1 money supply, or narrow money, is the country's basic money supply that's often used as a medium of exchange. It's the sum of currency in circulation, demand deposits, and other liquid deposits and depository institutions and foreign bank branches in the United States. Demand deposits include checking accounts and other very liquid deposits, which are commonly used through debit cards and ATMs. M1 doesn't include financial assets like bonds. So what that more or less means is it's all of the easily accessible cash that people have that they can do stuff with. So when we're talking about Bitcoin, breaking out against the M1 money supply for the first time since 2017, it shows that there's going to be a lot more retail money to flow around. There's a lot of people that have money inside of their bank accounts, checking accounts, savings, whatever it is, that they can quickly rotate into cash and participate inside of risk-on investments. Crypto is going to be about the most risk-on investment that we have inside of the market. It's very speculative. Nobody truly knows what's going to happen. But now that we have the ETFs, now that we have institutional demand, it's less risky in my eyes than ever before. And I do believe that that's kind of the early signal as to why we're seeing these charts breaking out. Bitcoin was the first to do this. We have created an absolutely massive inverse head and shoulder formation that we can see forming all the way since, pretty much our last cycle. When we ran up to 14K, we made this resistance, and it was the exact same resistance that we found at our cycle top at 65, as well as our final cycle top at $69,500. So what we can see is Bitcoin never was able to make a new all-time high against the M1 money supply. And it makes sense. There wasn't that much retail money to participate in the market. They were all going through a pandemic. The most cash anybody had was what they got inside of the airdrop for the $1,200 or $1,500 during that stimulus check. I don't remember exactly how much it was, but for the most part, people really didn't have that much money. There wasn't that much liquidity, and we also printed half of the entire world's money supply inside of that 1 year. So that in and of itself was pretty bearish. We didn't have the same type of buy pressure that we were expected to see in 2017. 2017 was so powerful because we had just spent time going through a decade-long correction in the stock market. The S&P 500 had the 2008 financial crisis, and then in 2011, 2012, we saw another massive sell-off. And it was throughout that entire decade that nothing really did a whole lot. Now, once Bitcoin started running into 2017, it was also when the stock market, being the S&P 500, made a new all-time high for the first time in a decade. We saw way more buy pressure, a lot more retail money participating than ever before, and that's why we saw such a massive cycle to begin that move. Now, if we're comparing similarities, we didn't have the same type of bullish sentiment in the last cycle, but we do have that going into this one. The stock market made its longest bear market since that decade-long correction, dating back to 2008 and 2012. And then if we're looking at what's happening right now, the stock market just broke a new all-time high, and that was after a long-term correction. Bitcoin was going through the same amount of correction over that last year in 2022. Now that Bitcoin is breaking out against the M1, it's an early signal that we're going to see a lot more retail money participating in the markets than ever before. And when we take the time to come down and look at XRP, XRP against its M1 money supply is in a very similar point. Now, the only difference being, obviously Bitcoin is outperforming. It's sitting all the way up here at the range highs, about to go into price discovery, but that's always what happens inside of our market. Bitcoin leads and the altcoins follow. I don't think that there's any other altcoins that are better positioned than what we see with XRP, because when we're taking the time to look at XRP, it's been inside of this downtrend for a significant period of time. We have two different resistances. We have the short-term resistance and we have our long-term descending resistance. We can see that in our short-term resistance, this is taking us all the way back to our last cycle, and this is what we broke out of when we ran upwards of about $2 inside of that move. We retested that as support here, here, and there, multiple different reactions of a breakout outside of that descending resistance. And then from that point, we ended up starting our uptrend that we've been at for basically 777 days. Ever since we bottomed at the end of 2022, XRP has been maintaining higher highs and higher lows throughout that entirety of that move. This also takes us outside of our main descending resistance as well, dating all the way back to our cycle top, going all the way to the peak of our last cycle top that we made in the last bull run, being at the very end of 2021. And then with us finally breaking out of that descending resistance, we don't really have a heck of a lot left to go. And that's what I think is a very bullish sign. When we're looking at XRP, the only thing that we really have to get above, and I'm going to remove these drawing tools really quick so it's easier to look at, we have horizontal resistance. And in my opinion, the most important horizontal resistance for XRP is going to be taking us all the way back to the 2018 bear market. When we started this short-term correction, I guess you could call it a descending triangle. When we were in this descending triangle, it was the resistance that we found at that level before our lower low that we also tagged at the peak of our last cycle. So remember, we only ended up coming all the way back up to 2018, 2019 type of resistance levels in that last bull market when we ended up peaking over here when we ran upwards of $2. So for XRP to be breaking out of all of our downtrending resistance, The only thing that we really have left to go, in my opinion, is this horizontal resistance. And once we get above that, I think that that's when XRP is going to really take off in a big way. Now, what we're watching here for is once Bitcoin finally makes a breakout and goes into price discovery, I'm anticipating that we're going to see a lot of adoption inside of these altcoin markets. And it's once XRP gets back above the prior high, being around that $2 level, once we get back above the same resistance from 2018 and 2019, that's when I think the majority of our upside potential for this coming cycle is going to set in. Overall, everything that we need to see for XRP to be bullish is playing out. We've broken out from our linear resistance, basically being our 2,400-day accumulation that we've been at. Keep in mind, XRP's only maintain higher highs and higher lows. Even though we're inside of a downtrending resistance, we're still looking at a long-term uptrend. So with us maintaining this uptrend for the last 1,600 days approximately, dating all the way back to the bottom of the COVID capitulation, I do think that we're moments away before we start that next new cycle, and this is really the first indication that we're pretty much right there. As long as our weekly can close and we can get outside, I'm not saying that that's a given. We could still see further consolidation around this level, don't get me wrong, especially if we end up seeing these unlocks that are coming next month end up being a little bit more bearish. We can still see that play out, but I don't think it's going to really change anything. The most bearish scenario I see would be XRP maybe revisiting the same trend line one last time before that breakout. But if that's the case, it doesn't really change anything. We're still looking at this clearing our downtrending resistance. And with Bitcoin looking very solid, looking like this will be the biggest cycle that we've had since 2017, it lines up that XRP is going to be following it, considering we're now breaking out of our downtrending resistance on the M1 money supply, and I think that's a very bullish sign long term. So guys, if you did find any value in this video, please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of these videos. If you do want to see anything I'm buying, selling, trading over this cycle, you want to analyze my portfolio, any altcoins that I'm looking at accumulating inside of this cycle, links are in the description. Go ahead and sign up on my website, linked below. With that being said, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys, and I'm super excited with what we're seeing in the markets. Everything that we've been talking about is more or less playing out, and I think that this is the early indication that we're about to be starting an absolutely massive breakout very soon. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.